Are you stressing over having family members come to visit your loved one? Are you concerned that it has been such a long time and think that things might become awkward? Today, I'll tell you about when four of Shanna's sisters came to visit recently, how it went, and what I learned from their visit. Welcome to the Surviving Alzheimer's podcast. I'm your host, Ken Cardita. In this podcast, I share with you my experiences and learnings from the last 13 years as I've walked by the side of my dear wife, Shanna, as she progresses through Alzheimer's disease. It is my desire that you'll find joy and peace while learning to live with your loved one's disease, and not let the disease define you or your loved one. The Surviving Alzheimer's podcast is brought to you by Ascending Minds, LLC. Welcome to episode 25 of the Surviving Alzheimer's podcast. Today, we'll talk about family support and of the love that Shanna's older sisters have for her. I'll give you a brief history and background of their relationship and how they have supported Shanna and myself over the last few years, in spite of living in another state. This story has some tender moments. I would invite you to look for things that happened that may be helpful to you when you consider hosting family come visit your loved one. Today's listener comment comes from Amanda Reed Peak. She left this comment on the Facebook page. Amazing, heartfelt, calming podcast for anyone who is a caretaker. I couldn't recommend this strongly enough. Thanks, Amanda. I really appreciate you taking the time to comment on the podcast. Let's get on with our story. But at first, I would like to dedicate this story to Shanna's four sisters: Sherry, Susan, Sandy, and Shirley. Yes, all of Shanna's sisters start with an S. I first want to point out that Shanna is the baby of the family, the youngest child, and that I've had a really good relationship with my sisters-in-law over the years. Now, Shanna's was always the spoiled younger sister. And when I say spoiled, it's relative. Shanna's family came from humble means, and she was spoiled in the fact that she got away with a lot of stuff that they didn't get away with. During the first 10 years of our marriage, we lived in California. We lived a couple of hours drive away from where most of Shanna's sisters lived. And we would go there many times a year for holidays and birthdays and family occasions. We also spent some time vacationing together. Our families would all gather at Mission Beach in San Diego, and we would spend a week on the beach together. We've got some good history with Shanna's sisters and her family. Now, when Shanna started to decline, I would let them know that something was up. And when we got the diagnosis for Shanna, I called each one of them and talked to them. Their reaction was of shock and devastation. And that's when the support started to happen. I would get phone calls and texts more often. They would start sending Shanna greeting cards to let them know that they were thinking of her. As things started to progress with Shanna and I was taking care of her full time, they reached out to me and asked how could they help. And I told them it would be great if they can come and visit Shanna and also offer me some respite care. Shanna's sister Sue came and visited probably 3 or 4 times over a couple of years period. And she came out when I asked her to a couple of times when my band had a gig, because I needed somebody to basically stay with Shanna while I spent the day setting up and performing. And she did that a few times, and that was really helpful to me. Her sister Sherry came out one time as well, and offered some respite at a period when I was extremely burnt out. Shanna's other sisters, Sandy and Shirley, were not able to come out, and that's okay. They supported me in their own special ways. Sandy sent Shanna so many of these really cool pop-up greeting cards that were really awesome. And I remember opening them, handing them to Shanna and reading her the messages. And Shanna really loved it. She really felt the love of her sisters. So as things started to get very serious with Shanna, and I realized she wouldn't be able to travel as much, I decided to take her to Bakersfield to visit her sisters. And this would be her last time to go see her family. We had a great time on that visit, even though Shanna was starting to show some really odd behavioral and mood swing changes as her Alzheimer's had progressed to the beginning of the severe state. The thing that stuck out to me during that visit was her sisters really got to see what Shanna was going through, and they really developed a sense of compassion for her. And that was an event that really allowed them to connect with her and step up with her. We had a great time. In fact, I took Shanna to her very first and only hockey game, and that is one of my passions. About 2 years ago, 6 weeks after I had moved Shanna to memory care, the four of them came to visit Shanna. At that time, Shanna was very mobile and very much more present. We took her out to her favorite restaurants. We did as much as we could with her. We spent some time even in the memory care center, and her sisters would do some of the activities with her, and I've got some fun video clips of that. My observation is that they got the first true hand experience of just how much had changed in that 1 year since our visit to Bakersfield. That brings us to this year. It had been 2 years since that visit, and I was starting to have some serious concerns about Shanna's physical decline. In February, I composed a text to them. In this text, I told them of my concerns of Shanna's physical decline, and I mentioned to them that if they would like to come out and visit sometime this year, it would be best to do it sooner than later, as the weather is going to get really hot here in Arizona, and also my concerns about Shanna's ability to have the energy and stamina to do things outside of the facility. I asked them to talk amongst themselves and figure out what they wanted to do. And of course, I said, no expectations on my part. If all of you can't make it, or just some of you can come, I'm good either way. Whatever you decide, I'm good with, and I will support. About a day later, I got a text from them saying they were all on board and they were coming out in about 4 weeks. I was very happy that they decided to come and visit, but this did cause a little bit of anxiety on my part, only because I wanted them to have a great visit, and I knew for some of them, this was a time and financial sacrifice to be able to do this. And so I wanted them to be richly rewarded with an experience with Shanna. So we planned this visit for mid-March. Of course, I had some concern. Would Shanna remember them? Would Shanna be able to connect with them? Would this trip be worthwhile for the sisters? Or was it just too late? These were the things that were rattling around in my mind. I was also concerned that Shanna might not have the energy to do anything. So with all of this anxiety building up, adding to that the fear of her physical decline that I went over in the last couple of episodes, it was a little bit of an anxious time for me. But I decided to just go for it and just see what happens. How did the visit turn out? It was a little rocky at first. On the way back from the airport, it was late in the afternoon, and we just decided to stop by Shanna's facility and just say hi. And we did, and we only stayed about 30 minutes. Shanna was quite overwhelmed, and I don't really think she recognized or put it together in her mind that her sisters had come to visit. It took her a little bit. She didn't give them a warm hug or a warm welcome. And it was dinner time, and we decided it was time for us to go. I remember that night over dinner as we talked. I didn't say anything, but in my mind I was thinking, oh, I sure hope it gets better. We set plans for the next day. We picked up Shanna before lunch, and we drove her to her favorite restaurant, Sal's Gilbert Pizza. We'd been going to this restaurant for 15 years. Shanna would go there many times on her own. We know the owners. It's one of our favorite places to go eat. We went to the restaurant and ordered some food. The six of us sat at a table. It was not quite busy yet. It was about 11:30. And we were interacting, but I noticed Shanna wasn't really interacting with her sisters much. I kept trying to engage her, and she would, but she was having a difficult time hearing the conversation. And as the lunch crowd showed up, it got very busy and very noisy, and actually Shanna shut down totally. I could just see her countenance just drop. We were done eating and we decided to leave. Now, as tradition has it, there's a bakery right next to the pizzeria, and we always go get some goodies there. So we went into there and got some treats. Shanna was tired and grumpy at this point, so we decided to go back to the facility. And on the car ride home, she was pretty quiet. When we got there, they were doing some activities. We tried to get Shanna to engage in the activities, but there was absolutely no interest on her part. She was totally spent. So the six of us went outside and sat in the courtyard. Shanna then gave us her famous death stare. She just has this look on her face. She's not happy. She just isn't feeling whatever's going on. And this got a little bit awkward. Now, I'm used to seeing this death stare, as are the caretakers, and we all know that's Shanna telling us she just needs some alone time and needs to reset and recharge. So I thought, what should we do? So we went back inside and we sat on a couch in one of the side lobbies by her room, and I turned on the TV and I put on some YouTube videos of babies laughing. This is one of my go-to things to do to reset her and cheer her up. And indeed, after about 20 minutes of us all watching these baby videos, she was smiling and laughing again and back into a good mood. We spent a little bit more time with her, and then it was time to say goodbye as dinner time had approached. We spent a total of about 3 hours with her, which was a pretty long visit for Shanna to endure. That night at dinner, when I was talking with Shanna's sisters, we had a long discussion. We talked about many different things. I was able to share with them some very personal experiences and lessons that I've learned over the last couple of years. And this was really, I think, good for all of us. While I've shared things on phone calls and I shared things in texts and in videos, just having this long discussion with the five of us, I think was really helpful and healing for all of us. Now, at that time, I was pretty frustrated that Shanna really hadn't connected with her sisters. And I was very concerned about this. I had noticed that when I was present, Shanna kind of locks her focus in on me and doesn't really pay that much attention to someone who's visiting her. So as I thought about this and I made it a matter of prayer to figure out how could I help Shanna's sisters have an opportunity to have Shanna engage. And again, I thought about this, and in the shower the next morning, as we were preparing to go, I received some distinct inspiration. I was inspired to back off. And when that thought came to me, I thought, what does that mean? And then I realized I need to let Shanna have some time alone with her sisters without me present. Then the immediate thought came of, what are they going to do with her? And then the answer came, have them paint her fingernail. So got out of the shower, got dressed, talked to Shanna's sisters and said, here's our plan. We're going to go. I'm going to get Shanna situated. I'm going to get the nail polishing materials, and I'm going to let you guys pamper your sister, and I'm going to disappear for a while. And so that's what we did. And I spent time just talking to some of the other residents in the other part of the facility. But I thought after about 20 minutes or so, I would check in on them. As I was walking to where they were, I felt prompted to pull my camera out and take a video. So as I walked upon the scene, I was taking a video. And what I found was the most amazing scene. Shanna was surrounded by all four of her sisters. The love and connection that they were experiencing was amazing. They were all smiles. Shanna was so happy. I took some photos and took some more videos. And as I walked away, I said a prayer of thanks. I decided that it would probably be best not to go out of the facility for lunch, but rather I would take the order for lunch. And that's what I did. So that gave them even more time to spend with her. I brought back the lunch and we enjoyed it. And we had a good time. We had our own little private dining experience. So we were there, and after about 2 hours, we recharged back on the couch again, and we watched an episode of Seinfeld together, and that was fun. Then I decided to take Shanna out for a mini adventure. Our plans were to grab some gelato and to go to a nearby park. The gelato experience went well, but again, she got tired very quickly. So after we ate the gelato, we decided to just skip the park. I want to point out the need to be flexible was a big lesson learned. Trying to plan everything out with your loved one may not be the best thing that you can do. We were very flexible on all these visits. Well, we got back. We watched a few more baby videos to allow Shanna to recharge. And then it was time for us to say goodbye. Now, Shanna's sister, Sandy, was leaving a little bit earlier, and this would be her time to say goodbye to Shanna. It was indeed a very tender moment. Sandy was crying, and I did all in my power to fight back the tears. And we went home and we had dinner again, and again, followed by some tender and great discussions. We talked a lot about Shanna's upbringing. I learned some things. It was pretty awesome. We woke up and it was their last day there. They were going to leave after lunch. We had breakfast with my son, Kyle. He took us all out to breakfast, and we had a great experience with that. We decided to go see Shanna for a little bit before taking the rest of her sisters to the airport. Her sisters were playing bingo with her, and that was fun to watch. We did spend some time outside in the courtyard and watch TV for just about 15 minutes before it was lunchtime. And then it was time for them to say their goodbyes. And again, it was another tender moment. I tried really hard to explain to Shanna that they were getting on a plane and going back to Bakersfield. I don't think Shanna really comprehended that. I learned an interesting lesson during this goodbye. Shanna experienced absolutely no sadness when it was time to say goodbye. She was just living in the moment. She said goodbye to me 1,000 times and know that I would be back. And I'm guessing she knew that she would see her sisters again, either on the phone or in person. And so what I learned is, while we can be sad for ourselves when it's time to say goodbye, but our loved one doesn't always get sad. Sometimes they, but there's no need to be sad on our loved one's behalf. Shanna lives in the moment. And if she's not getting sad over something because it doesn't register with her, that's okay. What did I learn out of all this? I think the biggest lesson that I would coach you or advise you is I would invite you to be willing to invite your family members and longtime friends who haven't seen your loved one for a while to come visit. I was not sure if Shanna was up for it, and I did not want to waste the resources of our sisters, but I'm glad we did it. I learned the lesson of setting proper expectations and letting them decide. I told them where Shanna was at and put no pressure on them either way and let them make the decision. And then whatever they would decide, I would support it 100%. And I think that's the best way to deal with that. The other lesson I learned is not to assume anything. Let family and friends make the choice. And let them make it as a guilt-free decision. As I mentioned before, being flexible, planning things out, but being willing to make an adjustment in the moment is definitely a good way to approach this. By skipping going to the park, not going out to lunch that second day, those were adjustments that made for a better experience for Shanna. We didn't overtire her. And she was able to stay happy on the second day. The other lesson is don't bail or don't give up if things start to go south. When Shanna was giving us that death stare, I panicked for just a moment, but then I remembered some of the things that we can do to help bring her back to a state of calmness and happiness. The other thing is when you're not with your loved one, take time to bond with your friends and your family. This disease can often separate and isolate you from your friends and from family members. So when they come and visit, spend some time just with them. They will appreciate it and you will get a lot out of it as well. Next to having Shanna engage with her sisters and experiencing that connection for them, I enjoyed spending time and discussing important things with them. When the challenges arise during the visit, seek inspiration. You never know. Miracles can occur. Find joy in some of the small things. Who would have realized or ever thought that watching Shanna getting her nails done by her sisters would be the highlight of their visit and one of the most emotional things that I've ever witnessed. Capture the moments on your phone. These become cherished memories for all involved. As an aside, I've been showing Shanna the videos and photos of our visit with her sisters for about a month now, and she enjoys seeing them, even if she doesn't remember the visit. She is reminded of their continuing love and support. And that is enough, because her smile when she watches the video tells me that. The last thing I would invite you to do is to be grateful of all the different levels of support that family and friends can offer. Let each family member and friend know how much you appreciate their effort and what they can do. There's no room for guilt or comparisons at this point. Just let them know you really appreciate everything they've done. It's common for family members to feel guilty and to feel like they're not doing enough. I have always told Shanna's sisters, do whatever your circumstances can permit. And that is enough. And that we both, Shanna and I, appreciate that support. I have a final invitation for you. I'd like you to think, is there someone special in yours or your loved one's life that you can consider inviting to come and visit, to reconnect, or rekindle a friendship and relationship? All too often, this disease can isolate us and our loved one from their family and friends. Don't let fear cause you to procrastinate or put off reconnecting with the special people in your loved one's life. No one will ever complain that they spent too much time with your loved one. Finally, I would invite you to live this motto that I've adopted. Don't ever let fear of what lies ahead rob you or your loved one or your friends and family of joy that you can experience now. I hope you've enjoyed this personal story, and I wish you the best in reconnecting with your family and friends. Thanks for watching an episode of the Surviving Alzheimer's podcast. If you're new to this podcast, I recommend that you watch the first 13 episodes in order. That way you can learn about our backstory. This will make understanding later episodes much easier. To help you with this, I've created a playlist. It's called Surviving Alzheimer's Podcast in Order. That way you can listen to all the episodes in the order that they were created. The mission of the Surviving Alzheimer's podcast is to educate and inspire caregivers, family, and friends who are on their own unique journey down dementia road with their loved one. I would really appreciate it if you could share this episode to anyone who you feel would benefit from it. Additional ways for you to help us reach others are to hit the like button for this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell to be notified of new episodes. All of these actions will encourage the YouTube algorithm to share this episode and podcast to other potential viewers.